This is a Su-27, one of the main combat aircraft of the Ukrainian tactical combat aviation. We talked to the pilots of this particular Su-27 and learned about what else this aircraft can do today. Want to see what it looks like?
The Ukrainian Maverick. Watch our story.
I have been flying combat missions since the first hours of the full-scale invasion. The command came to destroy everything.
It's like the gas pedal, right? Yeah, it's like, is there any chance to escape from the missile at all, to come back? No. No. Dimitro is next to me now. Dimitro is actually on duty. That is, at any moment, as I understand it now, the command may come. You get on the plane and fly a combat mission, right? Yes. Dimitro, can you give us a brief tour of the plane? Yes, let's get started. Is there any special maneuver or technique to get into the cockpit? The usual way. Yes. Yes, there is. You know, in fact, there are so many different small devices that I'm afraid of hitting them with my height. They don't hire people who are tall enough. Do they take pilots? Well, there are certain restrictions. For example, I am 1.88 meters. Is it too much?
It's measured from the sitting position. The way you sit, there are certain parameters. It's a combat trainer, which means a combat airplane. If I haven't flown this plane, someone has to teach me. It's a fully paired aircraft. Yours is also moving. Listen,
yes,
Dima,
yes, yes.
Let me turn on this and the question, and let's lower the chair.
You don't often see interviews with technical personnel, the people who provide the technical side of flights. And Dmitry, this is what you do, as far as I know, right? Yes, I am a senior flight engineer. So you fix rockets?
Well, there are specialists who deal with weapons separately.
In general, how many people do you need to service one aircraft?
In general, it takes about 10 people to prepare the aircraft.
And how long does it take?
Half an hour to an hour.
So you come here, where do you start your work?
Well, the most important thing for me is to inspect and check all the refueling stations. I also supervise the other specialists in their specialty. I also supervise other specialists in their specialty.
The main thing you see in front of you is the control panel of the aircraft. On the left, we have the engine control knob. Is it like a gas pedal? Yes, it's like the gas in a car. You use it. These are the switches that we turn on when starting and controlling various aircraft systems. We see the instrument panel in front of us. I can just see it.
I have a pull between my legs only when ejecting. Yes, these are the handles.
Ejection handles.
So in order to eject, I have to pull them with both hands, right? Or how does it work?
You can even do it with one hand. You just need to make some effort. The remote control.
Which side do I have, let's say, the buttons, devices, switches that are responsible for the weapon?
The weapon control is over there. It's on the left. And
in this airplane, I understand that the weapons are both missile-mounted weapons, right? And the cannon.
Why? Yes, the cannon, the missiles. That's right. This is a flashlight and there are no arms?
No, it doesn't. This is how it happens, friends.
When an airplane is decommissioned, the first thing they take off is probably the clock. You know, to have it at home, to put it away later.
By the way, do you have a cult movie that all the pilots of your brigade should watch?
Of course, Harry Potter.
Dear friends, if you wanted to see what a Ukrainian Maverick looks like, here it is. This is Andriy, a pilot of a Ukrainian tactical aviation brigade, and he is the one we are going to talk to today. Andriy, welcome.
I've been flying combat missions since the first days, one might even say, since the first hours of the full-scale invasion, on various tasks such as destroying aircraft cover, launching missile and bomb strikes, suppressing air defense systems, and so on. I won't tell you about some of them because at this stage it is not necessary, but I flew the entire sector of tasks performed by aviation. The first flight was very difficult. I turned on the weapon and saw cruise missiles flying overhead. I started talking, it was escorts. I started telling the flight control group that I was observing air targets, and the command center gave me an order to destroy everything without a report. It was a bit of a shock for me, to be honest, but unfortunately I was not able to intercept them then because they were very high up. Then I got carried away with trying to destroy them. The navigators didn't work and I didn't know where I was. But I came up with one of these things, turned on a certain mode on the plane, and they saw me. After taxiing, we got out, started reading the news, and at that time cruise missiles started coming at the airfield where we landed. That was the beginning and my first combat flight.
Now, if you are going up in the air, I think the main thing is who has a long-range missile fight. Because short-range missile battles, well, nowadays, in principle, there are no such things. It's all about who saw it first, who had the best sight, who gets the missile farther.
Is there a chance to escape from the missile and return?
Yeah.
It is very difficult.
There are certain actions you have to take, have to do in certain situations. It's like a regular, job.
I have had cases when I directly asked the airplane to pull out. I performed a certain maneuver. Then I descended to an extremely low altitude and the sun was shining. The sun blinded me a little bit. I was turning to the right. I overdid it and I realized that I am going to the ground at a very high angle. I take the plane out, and since I had a full tank of fuel, there is such a sinking of the plane that no matter how much I pull down, it still goes down. And I realized that I'm going to the ground, and I'm saying to him, come on, we'll get it out, come on, I see that everything is fine, come on, help me, just a little bit more. And we got him out. It wasn't as dangerous as it seemed, but for some reason I was scared. I talked to him directly. I said, come on, you don't want to, let's both of us pull him out.
How much resources does he still have, the potential, let's say, for the same re-equipment, maybe for processing?
We'll pull it out. It is constantly being modernized. We are constantly coming up with something new, delivering it and finishing it. As you know, we are working with Western weapons, and we have also, in a certain way, added something, finished it off, and in principle, the service life and operation can still fly. Of course, after the war, we will have to think about whether it makes sense to operate this aircraft, because as you say, its service life is already over, or whether it makes sense to modernize it by spending a certain amount of money to bring it to a similar state to the F-16, which is impossible, the Gripen, the European equivalent.
Everyone is waiting for the F-16 aircraft. So how does it differ from the main airplane you fly from the same Susa?
I'll start by saying that I have not personally flown the F-16. Simulators are one thing, but talking to my friends and partners who are now flying F-16, my brothers, these are two radically different machines. For certain tasks, the Su-27 will be perfect. I would fly it for a long time if they put a sight on it. For me, it's about feelings. And I've also told my friends that the feelings you get from the flight itself, not from the combat mission, but from the flight itself, the Su-27 is perfect. But the thrill you get from the F-16 when you capture a target at certain distances where you could not even think that it was possible is a different kind of thrill.
The most interesting thing for me is when you send a plane equipped with all the weapons and it comes back empty. You realize that it's laid down somewhere. The same dirty work somehow becomes easier to do because you realize that it was not in vain.
Yeah.
Is there any, ritual that pilots have initiated? I only remember the initiation when you flew out on your own, when you arrive, taxi the plane, turn off, get out of the plane, but don't get on the ground. You're lifted up from below in your arms. And, depending on the plane's tail number, they beat your butt. Well, since the plane here is big, they beat you against the wheel. Since there are smaller airplanes, they beat it against, well, some part of the airplane, that is.
As far as I've been flying, I've never made a flight. Today, our initiation ritual is simpler. You get in, you sit down. It's actually a very cool thing.